All right, guys. So normally I wouldn't really cover a story like this because it honestly is just Trump being Trump. This is stuff he does all the time. This is, under normal circumstances, you'd almost yawn when you look at this because this is par for the course when it comes to Donald Trump. The reason why I'm talking about this today is because of the Supreme Court decision that we just got. So for those of you who aren't up on the specifics, the basic gist of it is the Supreme Court said in a 6-3 ruling, official acts of the president are protected. They're protected. Not only is that the case, but according to John Roberts, he says even things on the outer perimeter of what's an official act, those are protected as well. And by the way, you can't really dive into the president's motive when breaking down what is an official act, what is an unofficial act, and what's a crime. This is basically handcuffing the system and saying your president is not really a president, he's an emperor, he's a king. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Right? As long as he has some stretch of an argument to say, hey, I'm acting as president, this is an official act, then according to John Roberts, that's a get out of jail free card. So in other words, when Richard Nixon said, when the president does it, it's not illegal, everybody mocked it ruthlessly. Now it appears like that's what John Roberts agrees with. Now he would claim, if I said this to his face, he would then claim, no, that's really not what I'm saying. You're mischaracterizing it. There are still things that are unofficial and criminal that a president could do. And the example that he gives is like potentially what Trump did with Arizona when he was trying to get the election overturned. He says Trump pressuring Arizona is not part of his official duties because Arizona is a state that he doesn't have control over as the head of the executive branch of the federal government, right? So he has some wiggle room where he says, well, because that's really not protected. But again, the fact that he says you can't even go to the president's motive when talking about these things, and you can't discuss official acts when presenting evidence on the unofficial acts that could be criminal, it's really handcuffing it so that he's trying to carve a lane where he says basically Donald Trump was mostly okay and fine for what he did on January 6th, for what he did with the fake elector slates. I mean, he argues the fake elector slates are potentially an official act, right? So it's a horrible decision. Even Amy Coney Barrett, another conservative justice, she said, look, yeah, official acts are protected, but Roberts has a way too expansive definition of an official act. So, the fake elector slate to Amy Coney Barrett, that's actually not protected. Okay, anyway, the decision was bad, but because there was disagreement even among the majority, what's going to happen is the lower court's going to hear the Jack Smith case on Trump, and it's probably going to get back to the Supreme Court again, where they'll have to more directly rule on the specifics of that case. But we're really in danger here. We're really in danger of losing whatever scraps of a democracy we have left. And then you see this. So Trump reposted an image calling Liz Cheney, quote, guilty of treason. Look at this. Elizabeth Lynn Cheney is guilty of treason. Read truth if you want televised military tribunals. Now, again, normally I'd be like, this is just Trump being Trump. It could be empty. It could be hollow. It could be, it's just vapid. He just hates Liz Cheney. This is his way of expressing how much he hates Liz Cheney. But the fact of the matter is, I'm terrified of the precedent now set by the Supreme Court. And if Trump gets in there again, there are no brakes in the car. We already know the plan. Pack the administration full of loyalists, all MAGA types, all yes men. And then next time he comes out and he says, oh, let's do the Insurrection Act to put down protests, nobody's going to stop him. He's going to do it. Last time the generals stopped him. If he wants to actually go after political enemies of his, not for actual crimes, but because they pissed him off because they're against him, what's going to stop him? Because now everything he does, hey, this is part of my official duties as president. And look, we don't have a situation where the shoe's on the other foot. And hey, maybe Biden will step up and maybe he'll arrest Chief Justice John Roberts and say, you guys are judicial supremacists and you're authoritarians and you're ruining our democracy. Or he'll arrest Trump and say, hey, part of my official actions, you're a threat to this country. He's a terrorist, whatever. Democrats are not going to do that. But with Trump, now you read something like this and you're like, maybe he will just lock up Liz Cheney, right? I don't think he'd go as far as executing her, but maybe he will just lock her up. Maybe he will go after Alvin Bragg. Maybe he will go after Jack Smith. Maybe he will, abuse his authority in such a clear and obvious way. And, we're just fucked. There's no recourse. So we're in uncharted waters, man. Every time I think it can't get worse, it gets worse immediately. And Trump totally unchained is a terrifying thought. And that is what we're looking at, man. That is what we're looking at. So there's no silver lining I could think of. He's a rank authoritarian. He's a wannabe dictator. And he's going to let his freak flag fly. And Lord only knows what direction it's going to take us. I think this could get really, really ugly. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much. You know the drill. You know the shameless plugs. Everybody subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Click that bell icon so you get a notification. Support the show on Patreon. There's no Crystal Kyle and Friends this week because we're on vacation, but I'm going to keep these shows coming. All right, I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.